about how to think of what being human is. But if we are evolving, then I certainly do not want to be controlled remotely by 5G, 6G systems, bringing in all sorts of others' agendas into my life and making me either, like most targeted individuals I know, they start out feeling crazy. They start out thinking they're demon possessed. They start out thinking they're fantasizing. And it takes them sometimes 2-3 years before they go, wait a minute, this could be technology that's making me this way. And they don't have anyone to talk to because, if they talk to their parents may call the psychiatrist, and then you end up in a mental hospital, and, you'll be diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic, wrong diagnosis. It's a very dangerous thing. And so if it can be done, and I think this is what they're trying to see that they can do it without you noticing that you are being taken over. I mean, some people write me who say, I had this terrible thought of killing my whatever. I don't think those things. What is that? And I immediately say, well, yeah, that's what can happen. So you need to know the technology to some degree.
Absolutely. And that makes me think of these stories that we've seen where people have backtracked, and it has to do with the whole voice-to-skull technology, which the military has used for years.
Yeah.
And the idea that would get into a kind of a regular currency targeting domestic enemies is something that, would seem very far out to an average person. And yet there are examples of it. And if you're in circles like the kind of circles that we're in at times, you hear about it, and from people who've gone through it for years. What's a good definition of voice to skull?
I have a really good one, but it's written down, and do I have it at all memorized? Well, it's where it's a microwave hearing.
Right.
Microwave hearing goes all the way back to 1970. You send a carrier wave with a frequency on it that bypasses your ears and goes straight to the brain. And then if they have your evoked potential, it's a very important term, Daniel. If they have your evoked potential, and they usually gain these, according to Dr. Robert Duncan, a victim and creator of this technology, that usually is done by satellite. If they have your evoked potential, then they can immediately set up a conversation with you and start laying down what the AI system is saying, what an actual human operator on a monitor is saying to you. And now you are in the voice hearing category. And one of the things that I've thought might not be such a bad idea is how people have these earbuds, and they have wireless iPhones, and they're all walking down the street. Sounds like they're talking to themselves, but they're talking to someone on their device, which is, is certainly not what I'm talking about with the voice to skull, but it looks like it. So a lot of people are hearing voices. Now, next step will be they won't need the device, and they'll be hearing voices that they've plugged into a transmission. Maybe they've activated something with their brain, and now they're hearing it. It's very similar. It's very similar because no one else nearby will hear it. It's microwave hearing. Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. You could implant suggestions in a person. So a voice to skull microwave hearing situation, you could then place suggestions in a person's mind. And eventually it just becomes maybe the best kind of mind control.
Yeah, and I don't know even if it's suggestions. That's kind of too light a word, directives would be better.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because if you are being targeted, whether you know it or not, you will have seen that if you don't do what the directives tell you, you will be in pain. There's
Right.
some part of you that knows that. And so, that's the key to targeted individuals is they initially try to please this voice and do what it says, but then they find out that that doesn't really fly very far, and they'll still be in pain and they'll still be
Mm.
tortured. So, really, the recommendation of most targeted individuals is, to resist, and even though it hurts, and that's the disposition of, I would conservatively say, of at least 1.5 million people in the United States. I know there's got to be more, but I
Mhm.
think this latest with the satellites up, the 5G satellites, and by the way, notice that I always say 5G, 6G. That's very important. A lot
Yeah.
of people think it's only 5G and we don't have 6G yet. That's not true. All 5G systems are in tandem with 6G systems. It has to be because they are beginning the penetration of all brains.